Hello and welcome to another episode of Never Fail Ale. Today I'm going to taste test one of the most iconic beer brands you're ever likely to come across. But first, let's head over to our interesting beer news friend. Interesting beer news. It really is very interesting. Terms and conditions apply. Visit a website that doesn't exist for more details.
Hello! People swapping cask ales for cappuccinos or ordering a burger and a beer via Deliveroo rather than at their local are a new threat to pubs, according to the boss of Green King. Nick Mackenzie, who runs the brewer and pub chain with 2,700 sites across the UK, except there are other businesses fighting for consumers' money, as a growing share of the population does not drink alcohol. Oh, we've got to use our pubs before we lose them forever. Back to you, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron. So, as mentioned before, today I'm going to bring you one of, if not the most iconic beer brands you're ever likely to come across. So, I'm going to give you a couple of clues before I reveal who it is. Let's see if you can guess. So, this particular brewery was founded in 1777 and it was based in Burton upon Trent. And this particular ale was once the highest selling beer in the UK. And by 1877, this particular brand became the largest brewery in the world with an annual output of 1 million barrels. Its pale ale, as a big hint, was exported throughout the British Empire, and the company's Red Triangle became the UK's first registered trademark. Of course, I'm talking about Bass. And today I'm going to taste test the 4.4% premium pale ale on the Perfect Draft machine. Now, one of my previous episodes, you would have seen that I don't have the Perfect Draft Pro, where you can actually select the temperature that the beer is chilled to before pouring. So I've got one of the original models where it takes it down to a 3-degree set point. So on the Perfect Draft website, they suggest this particular brew to be served at between 7 and 11 degrees. So once again, as mentioned before, I do prefer my ale to be at the higher end of that scale, as close to 12 degrees as possible. Now, what I have done in the past is let the ale get down to the 3-degree set point, pour, then let it sit for a little while to warm up to room temperature. I know there's method in the madness, but I do tend to find that it pours better that way. But on this occasion, the machine is sitting at 9 degrees, so I'm going to pour it straight off, give it a taste, and let's see if my theory does ring true. Hello! So yes, here you are now on this side of my home bar, and of course with me being the glass snob that I am, got to make sure that I have a branded Bass glass. So let's give it a pour at 9 degrees and let's see how we get on. Oh, it's just actually dropped to 8 degrees, so it's a little bit cooler. So you will kind of see what I mean in terms of with being that little bit warmer, to actually give it a really, really big head. So a little bigger than I would tend to like it. So I'm just going to let it settle just for a little while and then we'll give it a taste. 30 seconds later. Hello! Right, I think we're probably just about there. So I've only given it a few seconds just to settle down a little bit, and you will see it's actually really, really nice the way that it's settled down ever so slightly. That to me is actually a really, really good head. And in terms of its temperature, it doesn't feel too cold in the glass, but let's give it a sniff. Yeah, so see, to me, I don't know whether it's still slightly too cold. So I know I mentioned at the beginning of the video it was sitting at 9 degrees. It did drop to 8 just as I was pouring, so it was that 1 degree colder. But I still think it is slightly too cold for me. But in terms of its smell, you can smell it's quite... The best way for me to describe it's probably quite earthy. And quite, there's like a nutty aroma to it, that's for sure. Let's give it a taste. But even at 8 degrees temperature, it still really packs a punch in terms of its flavour. Now, with it being such an iconic brand, and like, just look at that, I love the red triangle. Like, even this day and age now, going into pubs, not necessarily oldie worldy pubs, but even modern pubs now, will quite often actually have Bass branding in and around the building itself. So I do think it's lasted the test of time. But in terms of its taste, it's actually really, really good. Yeah, to me, it's got that. Yeah, it kind of tastes how it smells. So very much a nutty aroma, but not too nutty. Like, it's quite malty as well, I think. But having it available on the Perfect Draft machine in draft form is absolutely lovely. Like, I do really like to see a Bass bottle. I think it's quite iconic pouring a Bass bottle into a Bass glass, but being able to pour it from the Perfect Draft and having that draft taste and that draft mouthfeel really, really is very nice indeed. So yeah, I have to say I'm really, really impressed. And what a lovely colour it is too. It's like a chestnutty sort of colour. And for it to be, I keep using the word iconic, but it's the best way to describe it. For it to be an iconic premium ale and being able to pour it on draft at home, you're on to a winner. Cheers.